Hey Nate, how are you doing? Thanks so much for
Hey.
joining us on the CX Reflex.
What's going on, Amanda? Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited for our conversation today.
Yeah, likewise. I'm really digging the shirt, really digging the hat.
Please ditto.
Um, what I wanted to talk to you about today is customer experience, but I wanted to drill down into a specific kind of angle on it,
Okay.
and that is the cost per experience. Um, that I think a lot of contact centers struggle with, right? And I think the nuts and bolts of it are, what is actually needed to improve customer experience versus what is nice to have and what just isn't helping you at all.
Mm,
So I've got a couple questions prepared for you. How's that sound?
that sounds wonderful. Let's go.
All right, awesome. So how much is customer experience really worth?
So, I mean, if we think about the importance and our ability to actually measure CX, there's a few statistics that I really like to use, and to kick that off, that mentality, Dimension Data says that 84% of companies that even start working to improve CX notice a revenue bump. So, I mean, that means as we shift our mentality to where we're not the hero of the store anymore, we're not trying to extrapolate the maximum value from our customers, we're trying to offer up value in a different way and establish long-term partnership. Even that mentality shift is going to be reciprocated very well by your customers. And then those that really start to get the rubber on the road here and do it well, Deloitte says that companies that are identified as customer centric are 60% more profitable than those not focused on the customer. So, I mean, there's a tremendous market share that is being gained by these customer centric companies. So, we're not just talking smoke and mirrors here. We're not just talking about CX as a lip service thing that we do because it's quote unquote the right thing to do, which it is. We're serving people really well through this, but this is how organizations grow sustainably. I love how Gene Bliss talks about when we view our customers as our most essential asset and we grow them intentionally and our people inside the company the same. That's how the business grows. That's how we accelerate and take care of this market share. And then the last stat that I love using is from PCW. It says 73% of consumers say a good experience is key in influencing their loyalty. So, I mean, loyalty is the key word here. We're going to talk about some ways that we go a little deeper into the measurement of CX in a minute. But I
Mhm.
mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, what we're trying to do, Amanda, is understand how can I get customers to come back? How can I open up a little bit more share of wallet and extend the length of this relationship that we have, and do a good enough job to where they're bringing more customers to me as well. They're an ambassador. They're bringing people in a way that our marketing engine could never dream to do. So, I mean, these are the things we're trying to accomplish.
No, for sure. And I think the stats that you mentioned, the first one, the 84% of companies that just start simply to invest in improving their customer journeys, their customer experience, start to see revenue gains. And when you compare that with the final stat that you mentioned, the 73% of consumers say that positive customer experience is a big factor in loyalty. I mean, isn't it kind of incredible that those two stats nearly line up, right? 73% to
True.
84%.
Yeah.
Right. So I
Not
mean,
a
there's
coincidence.
exactly not a coincidence. So that's how you make the case, right? Like the market is telling you what it wants. So respond to it. So you mentioned that you wanted to get into a little bit about how you actually, measure whether what you're doing is working. So what are some of your recommendations there?
Yeah, I mean, so we're trying to understand with full integrity what the customer's thoughts and perceptions are towards our brand and the experiences throughout. I mean, that's the sum, the culminating impact of CX, all those micro transactions, all these interactions, and it's culminating into this experience. So we're talking today mostly about that customer service type of interaction, but we want to know before and after that how that customer service interaction is impacting behaviors. If we nail it here, what does that mean in terms of the customer's behavior after that interaction? And so, I mean, we look at that deeply inside of Officium Arise. And so we've got the ability to measure something we've been calling revenue protection.
Oh,
So,
I
I mean,
love that. Explain that to me.
yeah, I mean, if we look at a customer that's coming down an experiential path and they don't either navigate to support or have a good experience with support, we can see what that customer does in terms of their likelihood to turn or to leave that organization or not to grow in terms of that share of wallet down the road versus another path, a multiverse situation here, the customer that does engage with support and has a great experience. what happens to them and measuring their post-support interactions and behaviors. And there's a tremendous implication in terms of our ability to generate that loyalty, open up that partnership and share of wallet. So in some ways, we want to guide people towards the best resolution path in any time they're going to hit a problem. And we want to, if it's going to be a person, we want to nail that. We want to have great human to human interactions. And if it's going to be a digital experience that we're guiding them through, which is so common today, we want that to be seamless and frictionless so that they can get on with their day. What we don't want to do is force customers down one path or the other where they may not want and or might not have a good resolution to the problem that they're experiencing at that time. So a lot of times we're forcing customers down a particular path when in fact what we need to be doing is thinking about how can we earn goodwill here? How can we earn loyalty and partnership through this service interaction and do a great job with it? Because that will impact these things downstream. So to go back to your question, Amanda, how do we measure these inside that service environment? Well, I mean, the classics are still relevant in a lot of ways. CSAT, customer effort score, to some degree NPS, though in that service question, that's probably not the best area to really be asking that. But there's still a lot of relevance there to trying to understand, okay, what is the customer feeling here? So that customer satisfaction question can be good. But even more than that, I've been using more and more customer sentiment. So it's just the way the customer feels about X. And you can ask that at any point, but it's especially relevant in that customer service interaction. How did you feel about this interaction with the agent? How did you feel about this resolution that you just experienced? Hopefully it was a resolution. Or even how did you feel about this interaction you just had? Are you able to move on with your definition of success here? So I mean, getting that idea of sentiment, and it's so easy to pick up without having to depend on our response rates that might be out there. You know, using a text block, using a recorded call, being able to bring that into the proper environment to where we can analyze that and understand that customer sentiment. It's a very powerful thing.
Yeah, no, I love that. You touched on so many things. And so I want to kind of take it step by step, and I hope that I don't lose the thread. But so you said the classics are still relevant when it comes to, you know, the KPIs to measuring CX. This may be a little bit of a controversial opinion, but hot take. I think customer effort score is more important than customer satisfaction score.
Mm-hmm.
I think customer satisfaction is important once you know you have low customer effort score. So it's very your interactions are easy. It's easy to get things done with you. Then I think that's when you can really start to look at customer satisfaction, because when you look at CSAT alone, first of all, I feel like it's kind of a burden to your customers, particularly if you haven't made these investments in things like understanding their behavior, in things like trying to unpack their sentiment. I mean, like it happens to us all the time, right? Like we get surveys after a horrible experience, sat on hold for 90 minutes. Do you really think that I'm going to be inclined to take that CSAT survey? No, you're going to be chasing me for 3 weeks to take it. I'm not going to take it. And if I do take it, it's going to be a horrible score, evaluation that you get. So I am really partial to the customer effort score. The next thing that I actually wanted to talk to you about was you brought up the sentiment analysis, the customer sentiment. What's interesting to me, I'm going to throw a stat at you now. We see in, marketing surveys that we do, adoption of tools like speech analytics is really low. In one of our recent surveys, we actually, I think, saw it was under 15% of contact centers were using a tool like an AI-enabled speech analytics. So can you talk to me a little bit more about why there's so much benefit in a tool and, there's just not a lot of adoption?
I mean, think about the fact that we should know, based on everything we can see about that interaction with the client, we should know if it went pretty well or not without having to go back and ask them. So yeah, I mean, it's something like speech analytics, text analytics. I mean, we can reach into that interaction with all the ways we were able to capture it and be able to say, okay, here's how this went. Here's how we know. We have that bottom line customer sentiment we can generate, but then too, wow, This is where the customer came from. This is the expectation we're setting up here in this part of the customer journey. People keep running into this. We know that this is a common thread because they're using this vernacular, this terminology, and we can see that thread coming forth in speech analytics and in text analytics, and be able to identify that friction point so definitively. A lot of times it happens where they're channel switching. They try to do our knowledge base. They're trying to find something. They're navigating on their mobile device. They're getting stuck because they're searching for a word or a thing that's not showing up for anybody else inside our organization because we're using a different language than our own customers.
Right.
So by taking speech analytics and being able to just honestly depict the customer's vernacular and try to adopt that into our knowledge base, into our self-service capabilities, you're going to hit the mark so much better.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, we evangelize it all day. So I think that was a great answer. I want to kind of put our future hats on. And I want to, you already have a hat on. I need
So
a hat.
many hats. I have no future hat. I need one.
I want to shift gears a little bit. So we're talking about, that one's even better. That's the future.
That's my future hat. The future's a terrifying place.
Yeah. Ain't it? No. So we're thinking about that. We've, spent the last couple of minutes talking about the contact center of today, the contact center of, 10, 15 years from now. Speech analytics today seems like, we think it's incredible. Its adoption still isn't, where it should be. What do you think about things like voice assistants and Alexa and the metaverse even? Like, will there be a time when we're, contacting agents? Hey, Alexa, my package didn't arrive. I think you can actually already do that today, can't you?
Yeah,
there's Amazon.
A lot of people have nailed that pretty well. I mean, Jonathan Schwarr, the CEO of Officium and now executive inside of Arise, he's teased the idea of, at some point we'll be basically interfacing with a Jarvis-like technology. In which, have you seen Iron Man where, Jarvis is just around Iron Man all the time, whether it's in the suit, whether it's on his watch, Jarvis is there as a guide for Iron Man all the time.
Right.
And they just live in harmony with each other. And I love, going back to Donald Miller, building a story brand, classic marketing reading. You've probably seen that, Amanda. But it's so brilliant to me, that concept of, we're not the hero of the story. The customer's the hero of the story. We are the guide. So how do we maximize our role as the guide, which is such a powerful thing to be? We're understanding the customer's definition of success as intimately as we can. We can't scale that the way we are today in the contact center. We can't really get deep into what our customers are thinking and feeling and wanting to accomplish with us and beyond. So we have to get so much better about reaching into their lives and seeing and experiencing through their lens what they're experiencing. Then we get to proactively serve them and help them towards that definition of success that they have, navigating those challenges. They don't know the questions to ask. Right now, we're dependent on them calling us, live texting us, web portaling us, mobile phoning us, whatever it is, and asking a question. That's so today. So tomorrow will be when they start to have a challenge forming, we will be there just like Jarvis in their HUD to say, hey, we need to be ready for this. This challenge is approaching. It's time for us to go ahead and start taking the steps to navigate around this challenge.
Yeah. I love it. So this is the CX reflex. So we gotta keep it fast, keep things moving. Exactly.
Yeah, let's flex.
Your energy is immaculate. So shifting gears. So you're talking about, getting inside the customer's head and really responding, almost really what you're saying is anticipating, rather than responding, because today we're responding. And so kind of in order to get to a place where we're anticipating, we have to be really in sync. What do you think people, and this is going to be a two-sided one, double-ended. What do you think today's CX leaders most misunderstand about what their customers want, and also what their agents and their representatives want?
Yeah, I mean, we're still designing experiences that are us focused most of the time. We have the business comes to us and say, we need our customers to do this thing. Can you put them on this journey to this end? And it's like, okay, I'm gonna try to design that, but there's going to be a lot of customers that aren't going to be interested in that experience, or whatever we're doing to position that path. They're going to think that they don't want it or need it, and they're
Mhm.
going to circumvent that path probably with a competitor. So it's way more about us being able to put ourselves in that mentality of the customer very effectively as a CX leader, and being there to guide. I love customer success as a function. I mean, let's be right there. I mean, let's in partnership in the everyday lives in the trench with our customers, guiding them through their journey, their personalized experience. And the more deep your interactions with them are. I mean, in a B2C environment where it's like, you're just buying a coffee mug, whatever it is, that's not going to be something where you're getting really into the trench with your customer. But the more that it's of just a really meaningful product or service, a deep relationship with them, the more we have to expand that customer success mentality, that idea of being the guide for them every day, the more that we need to do that. So it's less selfish thinking, it's less us thinking, it's more taking voice of customer and not using it to perpetuate our existing biases as an organization, which is what if voice of customer is inconvenient, it represents an opportunity for us to do something different,
Mhm.
not go get more voice of customer in a different way, which I feel like is what ends up happening a lot, or just not doing anything with it at all.
Yeah, right.
Let's
Like it's confirmation bias in some ways, right? This the kind of stubborn refusal to admit when something isn't working, or seeing it work in one place and just thinking that it becoming the status quo, and you thinking that it's like, okay, that's forever then. Like it's
Yeah.
iterative. You have to continually grow as people's behaviors change, as people's demands change. So I think that almost sort of brought us full circle to the beginning of like, how do you prove that cost per experience is a thing, that customer experience is worth investing in, and that bad customer experiences are costing you money.
Hmm.
So Nate, I wonder if you can tell us where we can find you next.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, definitely look us up on arise.com. We'd love to partner with you in a variety of ways with your people, in terms of if you need burst capacity capabilities there, if you have some peak volume and need to be able to accomplish that with some incredible work from home folks, we've got that. And we also have the ability to consult and set up a CX transformation plan with you and for you. So that is there. You can find me personally on Twitter at customer is first. And then on LinkedIn is just Nate Brown, which I'm starting to pop up, which is exciting because there's a lot of Nate Browns in the world.
I don't have that problem. I have a
You
very
don't.
European last name, so I'm
Boom.
sure I'm the only one in the world.
That's a good problem to have or not have.
um, all right. Well, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much. Expect to follow from me, and I can't wait to talk to you again.
Awesome. Thank you, Amanda.